Good morning. I would like to bring the October 1st Planning Advisory Meeting to order. The official start of this meeting is 9 a.m. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please silence or turn off your cell phones. We appreciate that. I remind those in the audience and those watching on TV that this is the first hearing of any rezoning, text change, or special exception request brought before us today. We will first hear a reading of the staff report for the case by planning staff and ask the applicant to provide a brief overview of that request. We will then have the opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak for or against that request and to inquire about that request. The commissioners will have any needed discussion on the case, and once a motion is rendered and seconded by the commission, a vote will take place and a recommendation will be rendered. The case will go back to the planning department for their independent recommendation. If a favorable recommendation is given, then the case is forwarded to the city council with the two independent recommendations. If the planning department makes a recommendation for denial, the applicant will have 10 days from the receipt of a letter stating the denial to notify the clerk of council that they are requesting to be placed on the city council's agenda. The City Council of Columbus will hold a public meeting called the first reading. Said council shall consider the case, review Planning Commission and Planning Department recommendations, and hear discussion on the matter. Council will make a final decision at a second public meeting called the second reading. Our first agenda item for today is to approve the minutes from the previous meeting, which was September 3rd. Commissioners, any questions on those minutes? Okay, would a commissioner like to make a motion to approve those? Thank you, sir. Second. All those in favor? Thank you. Okay, our first case for today is EXCP 9-25-1728, which is a request to rezone, a request for a special exception use of 31.77 acres of land located at 1650 Hubbard Road. The current zoning is residential estates 1, RE1. The proposed use is resource conservation subdivision. Edgar Houston is the builder and is the applicant. This property is located in Council District 2, Davis. Can we hear the staff report on this, please?
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is the first of its kind to go through this process. Typically, these conservation subdivisions up until January of 2024 were just approved as a plat, and then City Council wanted to change that, so if they wanted to add conditions or review it, they had that purview. So this one is by another builder, Houston Homes, which did another conservation subdivision right across the street from this one, which is Heiferhorn. So they are following that same pattern, just on the other side of the street on Hubbard Road. So it'll remain RE1 and it'll follow the same rules it always has for conservation subdivisions, where they leave environmentally sensitive areas alone, which gives them bonus lots to make the lots a little bit smaller than are typical in RE1.
Is there someone here representing Houston? Will you both give us your name and address for the record?
Yes, sir. Good morning. Tyler Finley, representing Houston Homes, 6053 Veterans Parkway, Suite 300.
Brandon Bolt Engineering, 400 2nd Avenue, Opelika, 36804.
Thank you. Mr. Finley, give us some details on what the plan is.
Certainly. So what we've done is we've kind of mimicked across the street. Obviously, this is RE1. Staff did a great job kind of laying the groundwork for us here. What we're offering is 62% raw open space, 30 to 50 foot buffer along Hubbard Road, 480 foot buffer on the west side of the property, 80 foot on the east side, and then between 80 and 400 kind of tapered on the south side of that. So what we're asking for, again, is a conservation subdivision. It's been a really good product for us across the street in Heiferhorn Farms. We are following the same density yield, right, Brandon?
Same density yield as if it were being laid out as RE1. There's no extra lots being asked for.
Outside of that, happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Commissioners, questions? So these will be similar, if it's similar density, similar lot size, what is that, half an acre, is that right? Or a third of an acre, something like that?
I think minimum 13,000 was calculated
Okay.
off of the UDO.
Okay. Questions? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for this request? Or anyone in the audience that would like to speak against this request? Okay. Would a commissioner like to make a motion on this case? Go ahead, sir.
In reference to EXCP 09251728, a request for a special exception use of 31.77 acres of land located at 1650 Hubbard Road. Current zoning is residential estates area 1. The proposed use is a resource conservation subdivision. I recommend approval.
Okay, thank you. Second? Thank you, sir. All those in favor? Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Okay, our next case for today is REZN 07-25-1260, a request to rezone 21.7 acres of land located at 8828 Veterans Parkway. Current zoning is planned use development, or a PUD. The proposed zoning is planned use development with condition change. The proposed use is single and multifamily residential. Tiger Creek Development is the applicant. The property is located in Council District 6, Allen. Can we hear the staff report on this, please?
Yes, this applicant is requesting to modify the existing planned unit development to change the site plan that was approved in 2014, and it was also revised again in 2014. Currently, 135 single-family lots are permitted. This applicant is requesting to have 16 single-family lots and to incorporate multifamily development into the PUD, which was not done in 2014, with 83 townhomes. The 16 single-family lots are going to have access from Sullivan's Drive, and it'll be a density of 1.3 dwelling units per acre. The 83 multifamily townhomes are on approximately 18.10 acres, would have access from Charleston Way, and would have a density of 4.58. We did receive comments from the surrounding neighbors. We have received 2 petitions with about 100 signatures, a little more than that. And I believe they are here to discuss that, so I will let them speak on that.
Thank you, sir. The applicant come forward and give us a brief overview of what your plan is. And give us your name and your address, too.
Yes, sir. I assume the overhead is working. I assume the overhead is active.
In the booth, can we have the overhead? There we are. Dave, flip it upside down. Thank you.
Okay, I'll do it that way. Fair enough. Good morning. My name is Dave Erickson. I'm the president of Tiger Creek Development, the owner and developer of Charleston Place subdivision. My address is number 4 Bradley Park Court, Suite 1H, Columbus, Georgia. And we have been the developer from the project from day one. We are here today to discuss the change in conditions for the PUD in Charleston Place. It is already zoned to PUD. It's important for you members to know and the audience on TV as well. Most people don't realize that a PUD is intended to be a flexible design, have diversity of character. Green space usually comes with that. Amenities come with that discussion. So you're offsetting the two along the way. And offsetting is part of this discussion. In fact, Rick Jones, the former planning director for the city, specifically asked us to use a PUD zoning in this project here, in part because the project immediately to the south, which is this one right here, was already a PUD, and he wanted us to try to carry some of that character along. That'll be important to this discussion as well. Our purpose today is to modify the conditions of the Charleston Place PUD in light of changing conditions in the housing needs of Columbus. This discussion is very similar to this discussion this group had in July with regard to the rezoning on Macon Road for that PUD, which is actually a mixed-use PUD, where the density of that project was requested to be increased by 50%. This is in part to the economics of construction. It's also in part to the affordability of houses in general, trying to keep within logical range of what people in Columbus can actually afford. In our case, we aren't actually changing the density of our project. It's more a reallocation of one for another. In simple words, we're expanding the density of one section to make larger lots. At the same time, we're making smaller lots in another area, specifically for townhomes. Important, both of these are consistent with the comprehensive plan, which is the guiding force for the PAC and how City Council addresses rezoning discussions. So let's make sure we understand the area. This is a map closely associated with what we're doing. We've got Veterans Parkway right here. Both of our projects here, this is the Promenades, this is Charleston Place. We're gonna be talking about Plat A and Plat B in this discussion, two separate things. Veterans Parkway is being widened to a 4-lane road with dedicated turn lanes. So there's a lot of activity going on in this area. There's already, just recently, a general commercial zoning was done across the street from us. There's an RO, which is a combination of light commercial and residential housing density options here. That was intended for an assisted living facility. I'm told that that project is on hold for the time being. There's other general commercial in the area. And the last time I spoke with this property owner to the south, they were intending for that to be commercial as well. So there's a lot of activity going on here, increasing density along the way, which conflicts with some of the residents' perspective of what they would like. So now we go more locally to our project. We have the promenades over here. I would point out that there's connectivity between the promenades and this project to the side. Connectivity is going to be an important part of this discussion, particularly when the opposition speaks about traffic. There's our current project with a lake, large green space into the rear, which is part of our first PUD rezoning and a requirement of it, a buffer to the people that are towards the Blackman Road side to our east. The current section, which is Plat B and Plat A for discussion. And then this is Veterans Parkway up here to the front. The promenades zoning here is important to this discussion. The actual ordinance for the promenades talks about meeting the plat that was submitted then. If you look at the details of the promenades, it is in fact effectively RMF1, which is very much what we're requesting over here. There are townhomes in there. There are single-family lots, but they're extraordinarily close. There's actually houses in there that are literally 3 feet apart. I'm not even sure that meets fire code. There are many houses in there that are 6 feet apart. Very dense houses to the point that they might as well be connected, which is part of this discussion. We didn't craft this zoning proposal solely on our own. I went out personally and met with all the property owners along the common boundary of Charleston Way here, all these people here, and all the people on this cul-de-sac as well, seeking their input for our original ideas before we even submitted the rezoning. From that, we actually modified our plan and submitted what we're going to present to you now. So I'm going to start at the back with Plat B over here. Originally, I was intending to do 83 units in this section. After further discussion with my staff, we decided to drop it back to 78, and we've added a whole bunch of parking along the way as well. I'm not sure if I can back that off enough to pick it up, everything for you. There we go. They are a combination of duplex units, triplexes, and there are fourplexes in here as well. So there are a variety of housing types. One of our goals here is to bring a housing product consistent with the values that are already in Columbus, in Charleston Place. The average sales price of Charleston Place is around $350,000. With the cost of construction nowadays, our townhome target price here is $330 to $360. There will be larger townhomes. It could be classified as upscale or luxury townhomes. All two-car garage, all with parking spaces in the garage as well that would handle at least 2 cars, in many cases 4 cars in the driveway. And then we have overflow parking around the area as well, so that if there's a large number of visitors around the holidays or something like that, there's extra parking in the area to go with that. For this area, we are looking to modify the definition of the PUD to use the RMF1 designations. It would still be a PUD, but the specific requirements for this area would be RMF1 in terms of separations, height of buildings, and characters of how the buildings are built, which is already in the zoning ordinance. This particular section is going to be a maintenance provided area. That's not very common in Columbus. It's common in other jurisdictions I work in. There's an area in Kansas that does this a lot. Maintenance provided has a common sprinkler system for everybody. And it has a common landscape maintenance system as well. So a grass cutter would come in probably at least twice in any given month. Everybody's yards get kept to the same standards all the time. That's not a condo, that's single family people all working together, or single ownerships all working together as a group. There would be an additional homeowners association for this one section, which is a subset of the main one in Charleston Place. That's to segregate the cost of the sprinkler system and the landscaping from the cost of running the association as a whole. That was a specific condition that we talked about at one of our community meetings, and I wanted to re-clarify that and put it as a condition in there. So that's an additional condition we're looking to put in the ordinance. I've already passed it on to Morgan. I should emphasize also on the north end, or on the upper end of this plat, this green space, which is open space, underneath a power easement that runs through that. It's 100 feet wide of open space. It physically separates the single family houses off the top of this chart with the townhomes below it. It also happens to be a ridge. So visually, there's this distinct separation between the two, both in physical distance and visually as well. One of the reasons why I walked around and met all those people is I was floating ideas for a consensus on what amenities to put in the homeowners association in this open space up here. Originally, that was intended. There was ideas about a dog park, about a children's play area, pickleball court was brought up. A number of ideas were floated from the individual people I talked to, but when we got to a community meeting, the consensus is they just didn't really want to do it. There were individual people who had ideas, but in the end they said, nice idea, but tell you what, we'll just leave it like it is. In the end, the homeowners association will own this open space. If they wanted to do something in the future, they have that option. But right now, they're preferring to leave it as just open space, undeveloped, effectively a grassy meadow behind houses in the area. I go now to Plat A, which is the other section we're talking about. Charleston Place runs up here where my pen is, Charleston Way. So there are residents backing up to this property line all along this arc here, and you can see some of them on this plat. After conversation with the residents in the area, they expressed some interest in seeing larger houses next door to theirs. And after doing some extra checking along with that, I decided that probably was a pretty good way to go. There's a large house here at the rear of the property here, which I call the mansion. Quite large and very imposing in character and size as well. Using this method, we are going to keep the mansion. And we're gonna have oversized lots that are 50% bigger than anything in Charleston Place already, and build larger houses to go with that. To that end, we'd be targeting a house around 3,000 square feet, perhaps as large as 3,400 square feet. A limited number of them, since there's only 15 new houses, plus the existing one back there, that's a total of 16. And our price point here is probably gonna be pushing the high fours into the low fives. So this is distinct upscale improvement on the diversity of Charleston Place subdivision. There's one item here, in talking to Mr. McQuaig, who is on the north side of the property up this area, he asked that the current fence line that's running along here be extended by an additional 200 feet as just a little bit of a separation from his yard area. I've agreed to that. That's an additional condition I have put to Morgan for consideration. Needs to be adopted and amended to the ordinance we've already submitted, but it's a reasonable one, and I was pleased that Mr. McQuaig was otherwise quite happy with what we're doing. He just asked for that additional concession. In talking to the residents, both individually and in two different community meetings, one for Charleston Place, intended just for Charleston Place, and one specifically for the promenades, 3/4 of our time was spent talking about traffic, just generally concerns about traffic. The reality is, if we develop this as single-family lots originally, our costs would be noticeably higher for the same product, or our lot price is noticeably higher, and we would have to build a distinctly smaller house, which I don't think is in the best interest of the neighborhood. Thus, the presentation I just gave you. But in all cases, the traffic count would be about the same. The reality is, the subdivision is designed to handle 5,000 vehicle trips per day, as the way they do it. In talking to my traffic engineer just yesterday, I found out that the new code book by which traffic engineers work by actually has come out and said that the traffic count for townhomes is actually less than single family. Single family runs 8.5 to 9, as a rule of thumb. Townhomes actually is measured at 6.5, so it's almost 25% less from normal traffic along the way. I was a little bit surprised to hear that when I talked to her yesterday. I'm sure the community here is going to have something to say about this subject, so I won't belabor it any further right now. But I can talk at length about traffic as appropriate further down the road. The short answer is, if you do the traffic analysis, the vehicle count that we're proposing to do is extremely limited relative to the design volume of a regular street. There's a brand new widening of Veterans Parkway that most everybody knows about. There's dedicated turn lanes, both of which are not there now. Veterans Parkway functions reasonably well today as a 2-lane. We hope it would handle the same amount of traffic as a 4-lane with dedicated turn lanes relatively well as well. That's my presentation. In summation, we are simply reallocating the spacing to be more cost-effective, to protect property values, to develop a product that is in the best interest of the community needs of the city, and cost-effective for the developer to bring to the table as well. There are a couple of condition changes I presented to Morgan for clarification. We'll talk about those further as I wrap up. That's my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to address them for you.
Commissioners, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Can you please illustrate one more time the points of ingress and egress? You
Sure.
initially showed that at the beginning of the presentation. I just wanted you to kind of make it a little bit more clear.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Let me get to the right map for you. This map probably serves that purpose best. Right now, our subdivision has one dedicated entrance here, and it handles enough volume, handles the volume for the whole subdivision. There's another entrance here in the promenades as well, and you are required to have connectivity between subdivisions. That's accomplished down here, a short street called Oriana. There's also, just for information, another connecting point right here in the back of the promenade for whatever is going to happen further to the south. And I should also point out that there's a connecting point required here that was part of our first PUD requirement. That was specifically at the request of Mr. McQuaig, who he and his family have the property to the north. If this is developed, likely they will have to do something to the back out to Veterans Parkway in the future as well. That's not on the table currently, but the point of which is the traffic we have currently coming out this one location is focused there, but our total traffic count is well within the capability of that intersection and what Veterans Parkway is designed to handle as well. I'll bring up a comment that was made in the staff comments for this presentation. The current traffic volume is measured by what's called level of service. Currently, it's defined as a level C, which is good, but not fantastic. A rural road out McKee Road would be a level A, where you just do whatever you want. Most people on a daily basis, you're traveling on C and sometimes D level of service roads. With the widening of Veterans Parkway, it appears that they're classifying it as a level B for the future, which is a slight improvement, actually, despite the fact that we would be having full density of our residents at that time. Did that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions?
Thanks, sir. Anyone else? Okay. Okay, let's hear from folks who are here. Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for this request? Or anyone in the audience that would like to speak against this request or just have questions? Y'all come to this one and give us your name and address, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for allowing me a few minutes to speak to you today. My name is Ben Sorrell. I live at 8647 Blackman Road. My family owns the property that's on the east side of the property. So in the map you saw a second ago, the B section over on, the B section over on the right. My family owns most of the property line on that eastern side. I think it's been mentioned here already, but I think it's important to note that this rezoning of this area started over 11 years ago. So this has been going on for 11 years. This month, 11 years ago, we were in here and the council approved the zoning that you saw today, or that's in effect today, I'm sorry. That was done after a lot of heated discussion. There was a lot of opposition, in all frankness, to it. You know, Mr. Erickson put forth a compelling story on, you know, the economy is growing, the housing needs of the market, and ultimately we went with what he put forward to us. You know, that what was approved was about 40 or so houses, if I recall right, in that back section that we see there. But when we went through that, it gave us some assurance on what we could expect in the future. I think that's important. I understand this is a PUD, and there can be changes, but we all went into this with good faith after some heated discussion, knowing that that's what was going to be built on that property along that section there. What you see now is obviously a significant change from that. We're going from about 40 to, I think you said 78 or something like that. It was 83, but maybe 78 now. So slightly fewer than what's in the proposal, but still a significant increase that almost doubles what was there. Obviously, this is going to result in more noise, more traffic, more congestion. I don't think it's good for the area. I think it's also important to note, you know, the history here. I mentioned a second ago, this has been going on for 11 years. There were 2 phases to development. The first phase that Mr. Erickson talked about, it's already been developed. But he didn't start work on the second phase until 2020, right after COVID started. I was in my house, I heard a big noise, went outside, all the trees were getting cleared. So he started to work on it 6 years after it was approved. And a lot changes in 6 years. He talked about the economy, he talked about the cost of housing. I understand that. But he waited 6 years to do anything on this. And now the economics have changed. And we're being asked to have to accept that just because the economics have changed and go with this change. And I don't think that's right. Again, we negotiated in good faith with him 11 years ago. And our ask, and I think most of the community's ask, is to hold him to what he agreed to do 11 years ago. It's as simple as that. Thank you. I don't know if you have any questions.
Commissioners, any question? What's the size of your lot where you all are?
We sit on a couple of different tracks, about 11 acres.
Okay, thank you.
So we're RE, I guess we're RE1.
Yeah.
You know, all of this property before it was, you know, rezoned 11 years ago was RE1. That's another change, right, for the area, obviously, and we accepted that. Weren't overjoyed about it, obviously, but we accepted it. And we're just asking that he be held to do what he committed to do 11 years ago, and he still ain't done it.
Okay. Any questions, commissioners? Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate
you.
it. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Give us your name and address, if you will.
Good morning. My name is Henry Lee Holloway, and I live at 5112 Sumter Court. And I want to say that Dave has given a very compelling show today. And as you can see from what Mr. Searles has mentioned, there has been some promises made, but one thing I want to express to you today is that not much has been kept. My family and I moved into the Charleston Place subdivision right around 2021. And I'm proud to say that I'm an original owner as well as a board member of Charleston Place subdivision. Lived in the community for over 20 years in Columbus. I'm a transplant of the military. My wife and I decided to plant our roots here in Columbus because we love the community and love the area. And I had family nearby as well, so we decided to plant our roots here. Like my neighbors, we chose Charleston Place, and the main reason we chose Charleston Place because of the new subdivision and the likeness of new people and meeting new people. If you've met or have seen some of the subdivision owners, it is a very multiverse community. We love it. We just started our HOA and started to come together and elaborate on all the wonderful things that we would like to do. But the things that we've experienced recently is, the property values have gone up, and we've been able to feel I guess the nature of community, friends, safety, camaraderie, and the things that we decided to plant our roots to live here in Columbus. A lot of what you see in North Columbus is what you see in our neighborhood, and we're proud about that. When we moved here, we were told that these were single-family homes. That was the main reason. We were given every plan, plot, area that would be built, and we were told that this last phase of this subdivision would be part of something very similar to what we had. And we were excited about that, just kind of counting the days on when that construction was about to begin. Year passed and another year passed, and here we stand. One morning I get up, early Saturday morning, knock on the door, and it's Dave. It's the first time I've met Dave. And he says, look, I'm here to talk to the community. We're ready to start and begin this wonderful new phase. And I'd like to share some things that, some of your, I guess he's speaking on behalf of some of our residents and community, would like to have pickleball and walking trails. And in my version, in my wife's version, after the visit, it was trying to put a bow on a nice little pig, because he did not mention that the homes that he was about to start or would like to start are townhomes. And as soon as he mentioned townhomes after his presentation that early morning, my wife and I was very displeased, felt misdirected, felt that the investment that we made in our community was jilted in front of all of us as well as our homeowners. Um, uh, We immediately contacted our neighbors and walked down the street and said, hey, did you get a visit from Dave? And they all said yes, the ones that were home, and they were not pleased. And soon after, we decided to put a petition out to see how many was in agreement with what Dave was trying to deliver. But the thing I want you to really understand about his presentation this morning is that he didn't give you the why. He talked about the various community meetings we had. He met with us. We were not talking about traffic. We were talking about the value of our homes and the community that we've created was about to change. That's what we talked about. He didn't say that. He talked about the point when Mr. Gary Allen was nice enough to come to the Promenade HOA, and we were also invited to be there. And while we were there, yes, their points of view is egress. Their points of view is more traffic. Promenade is a community of seniors. And when you have seniors, they rarely come outside. And when they do, they're very friendly. So change for them was obviously a big concern. And that's why they were talking about traffic. So I didn't want that to be a distraction as to what Dave was trying to present this morning. But I want you to understand that we have a thought in mind, and there's a reason why we have over 100 petitions, or 100 folks sign the petition. Tiger Development is requesting to rezone Phase 3 and to allow townhomes. This is not a minor adjustment. It would merely double the density in that phase and introduce an architectural style and lifestyle dynamic that is entirely inconsistent with the existing fabric of our community. We are not alone in this opposition. Our neighbors of the Promenade, as well as Blackman Road, thank you, Mr. Searles, speaking today, are all with us in opposition. This isn't about density or design. It's about home values, equity, and fairness. Allowing townhomes in a community planned and marketed exclusively for single-family homes will send a message that rules can be changed in midstream. And that message comes at a cost. The city should not approve of rezoning that has potentially lower current property values. For families who invested in good faith based on all clearly defined plan, we believe the rezoning undermines that plan. It violates our covenants and disrupts the neighborhood cohesion, as well as betrays the trust. Say it again, the trust that families placed on their development and the city's zoning process. We're not against development, we're against broken commitments. I'll say that again. We're not against development. Lived here 20 plus years. I've seen Columbus grow, and it's growing in the good. You guys are doing fantastic. But we're against broken promises and commitments. On behalf of the HOA and many residents standing in opposition, I respectfully urge you, vote no on this rezoning request, protect Charleston Place, uphold the plan, and please help us keep the promise. Thank you. Questions? I'm sorry.
Questions? Anyone? Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Give us your name and address, if you will.
Hey, good morning. I'm Steve Dunn, 8828 Sullivan's Drive. I do have some additional signatures if y'all are interested in looking at.
Sure.
Just let me know. I have the hard copies here. First, thank you, Mr. Sorrell, for your words and support. I appreciate that. So as I said, I'm Steve Dunn. I live in Charleston Place, and I serve as the president of our HOA, a newly formed board, that is. Our community was built on a simple, clear foundation, single-family homes. That's what the zoning approved. That's what the covenants guarantee. That's what 72 families, including mine, bought into. Now the developer wants to rewrite that. He's asking to add townhomes to the final phase of our neighborhood, which is a complete departure from the character and density and promises that define Charleston Place. The residents of Charleston Place and our neighborhoods and the promenades can stand here and yell about traffic, property values, infrastructure strain and concerns, right? And there's counterpoints to every single one of those. I understand that. But we all know that statistics and data never lie or mislead, right? But this goes beyond metrics. When families invest in a neighborhood, they are not just buying a house, they're buying trust. Trust that what was planned will be honored. Trust that what was approved won't be flipped because someone found a better margin on a different product. I say this as a real estate professional myself. I understand the economics of Mr. Erickson's challenge. But the legal mess surrounding these plats and the shift in capital markets was never and is still not the problem or burden of the residents of Charleston Place. This isn't just a zoning request or modification. It's a test of integrity. If this is approved, it sends a message that even any planned unit development with restrictive covenants that are legally binding for the homeowners, by the way, community protections can be brushed aside. That's a dangerous precedent, both for us and for any neighborhood in Columbus. So I'm asking you to honor the original plan, respect the zoning, respect the covenants, as Mr. Storrell mentioned 11 years ago. You can rewrite zoning, but you cannot rewrite trust. So we do ask for your vote of no on this modification request. Any questions?
Commissioners, questions? Well, tell us your address again.
8828 Sullivan's Drive.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, anyone else like to speak for or against this request? Okay. It's a good time to interject that we were given some conditional changes as well that are likely to be adopted. I think Mr. Erickson has mentioned most of these, so I'll share them for them to be in the record. One, extend the fence line along the north boundary of Plat A westward 200 feet, as you mentioned. Two, require an HOA group for administration of Plat B, lot amenity costs like community sprinkler and lawn maintenance. This HOA would be a subset of the Charleston Place HOA. And then three, that we would recommend a speed table installation on Charleston Way. This would obviously be subject to approval by the city engineering department. We don't control traffic, they do, but that would be a recommendation as well. So, Mr. Erickson, do you want to give a counterpoint to what these folks have said?
Yes, please. On those conditions you just touched on, number 3 about the speed tables, he really didn't bring up that conversation. That's at the discretion of if the PAC wants to push that forward. In our original community meeting for Charleston Place, literally 3/4 of our meeting, which was 2 hours long, was about traffic options, speed within the neighborhood. Keep in mind, it's the residents of the neighborhood that are the speed concern. And they were asking about putting in speed tables. I offered to be part of that discussion to a degree. I didn't get buy-in to that. But I did commit that I would at least bring it up for conversation. And I did suggest that if the PAC recommended it to reduce speed along Charleston Way, that it would carry a little more weight when it got to City Council for consideration. But in all circumstances, and I'm sure City Council will do the same thing, they will yield to the Traffic Division and the City Engineering Department about whether a speed table of 1 is justified and should be put there, and make sure it also is not a safety hazard. Because there's downsides to having speed tables in certain locations. So again, number 3 on that list is optional what the PAC thinks they want to do, okay? A couple of comments I'll bring up. With regard to the property to the east, it's the Flanagan family. Yes, this is 11 years in the making. But this is, that 11 years he's talking about, and 6 years before we started, we had developed all of phase 1, all of phase 2, and now he's saying 6 years to start? Yeah, that was phase 3, which is what we're talking about here for Plat B. The subdivision got shanghaied by external events that aren't really important to this discussion, but it got delayed, and that's all there is to it. I still am faced with how to bring the project forward that makes sense. The why of it, I will restate again. Economics of Columbus have changed dramatically. Houses that were built in 2020 and 2021 were built on 3% interest rates. They're really nice houses, very well done. We cannot replace that same product today and be anywhere close to what the people of the city of Columbus can afford. So my challenge is figure out the right product that's good for the subdivision, good for the future homeowners, helps protect the demographics of the people that are in there. We're trying to keep similar type of working class, blue collar, white collar mix, great diversity. The conclusion of that is that primarily townhomes would serve that purpose. If we were forced to go only single family with Plat B, we would be going down in price, probably building a 1,600 square foot house. And then there'll be howls and screams that have nothing to do about it because it's not administratable, that we're bringing in low quality houses that are 1,600 square feet compared to their 2,400 square feet. Cost of construction has gone up dramatically in the last 5 years. If we bring a high quality townhome, we can be cost effective, deliver a price point that will be consistent with the neighbors in there, and protect those property values. And I put out a bet to the people of Charleston Place and the people at Promenades when I had those two community meetings. I pulled out a $100 bill. I said, the first person that can show me where a new subdivision next of good quality houses next to another subdivision of any price point, higher or lower, brought down property values can have this $100 bill. That was a couple of months ago. Nobody's claimed it yet because it's a falsehood. New construction next to existing houses, whether they're old or new, doesn't change property values. There are a couple of people here involved in real estate on the PAC. I think that's pretty universally understood by people who really pay attention to it. I should emphasize this isn't about profits. It's about practicality. I have been very successful as a builder and developer for a long time. I'm not doing this for profit. My mission for the remainder of my career is to build quality houses that meet the needs of the community so we can grow the community and serve the housing needs of people. Yes, we have to make a profit. The banks won't help me do it unless I make a profit. But it isn't about profits. It's about delivering a high quality community that people can live in and live in well. I think I've answered all the questions that matter.
Okay, commissioners, any other questions on the follow-up? Okay. With that being said, I think we're ready for Commissioner to make a motion. Would a commissioner like to make a motion on this case? Thank you, sir.
This is regarding case number REZN-07-25-12600, a request to rezone 21.7 acres of land located at 8828 Veterans Parkway. Current zoning is planned unit development, proposed zoning planned unit development, but with conditional change. I move that we deny this request because it's inconsistent with the current land use.
Would a commissioner like to second this? Okay. Okay, let's have a vote then. All those in favor of denying this request, raise your right hand. Okay. All those in favor of denying this proposal, raise your right hand. Okay. So I don't know what we do here because I think we all have to vote.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a motion to deny, and I have Mr. Lackey, Mr. Stallings.
Correct.
Okay, so if you think that this should move forward for approval and
We need a motion to approve. Okay, so we need a motion to, yeah, so we either need a motion to approve or we need votes to deny.
Did I say it wrong?
Do you want to approve or deny?
Are you proposing to approve or to deny it?
To deny.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so we have voted on that then. So is there a motion to approve then?
Is it 2-3?
We've got one.
I only saw 2 hands go up for.
Okay, so for denying the denial
Is 3.
is 3. Is that correct? Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay. You are denying the approval? Yeah, so let's do this one more time. Make your motion again, sir, please.
I'm going to skip all the initial.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I move that we deny the request to change the zoning.
Okay. Is there a second to that? Thank you, sir. And those in favor of denying the request to rezone, raise your right hand. Okay. Everyone is denying, correct. Okay. Thank you. Then this is denied. So just so you all know, neighbors, Mr. Erickson has the right to go to City Council. That will be ultimately where the decision is made. And we encourage you all to be a part of that process. But he has put forth this proposal, so that is also his right. So thank you for this opportunity. Commissioners, any other business that we need to attend to today? Okay, would a commissioner like to make a motion to adjourn? Motion adjourned. Okay, thank you, sir. All those in favor, we are adjourned.